I was happy to know that Sahib had got a job, 800 rupees a month and free meals. I think anyone will be happy because from a life of being a rag picker, he has now got a fixed amount of salary he will get at the end of every month and an identity he has got. But the author seems to be not happy with that. That is why she said that when she asked him whether he was happy with his job in the tea stall, his face appeared to have lost its carefree look. So, by this we understand that the author is in favor of individual freedom. For her, getting a job and earning 800 rupees a month, that is not the more important thing. What is more important is an individual's freedom to roam about, and that is what Sahib has lost, and that is what makes the author unhappy. So, the earlier story in the last video, in the third video, the first story ended with the sentence, Sahib is no longer his own master. And see how the second story starts. The second story is named, I want to drive a car. The headline is, I want to drive a car. I want to drive a car. This is within inverted commas. And here the first sentence is, Mukesh insists on being his own master. Out of the two stories that we have, the first one was named, Sometimes I find a rupee in the garbage. And that story ended with the statement, Sahib is no longer his own master. The second story begins with the sentence, Mukesh insists on being his own master. By this, we understand that the author is in favor of, she is an advocate of individual freedom. So, she shows us that in both the stories, the main characters are poor boys. One is Sahib in the first story, and in the second story it is Mukesh, but there is change in their attitude. Sahib, he is no longer his own master. With this, the first story ends. The second story begins with Mukesh insisting on being his own master. So, it is whether you want to retain your mastery over yourself or you want to lose it, that is the question, and that is what concerns the author more. Mukesh insists on being his own master. Insist on, this is very important, this is a phrasal verb, insist on. After insist, on is the preposition. Insist on means to give much emphasis on something. I insist on your visiting the place. It means I want that you should visit. I give much importance on this, that you should visit. He insisted on my stay at his home. It means he wanted it that I must stay at his home. Insist on means to give emphasis on something. Mukesh insists on being his own master. I will be a motor mechanic, he announces. Again the author is using the word announce. Mukesh announces it, it means Mukesh makes it public. He tells it to the author openly that I will be a motor mechanic. He is determined. And you must notice one thing, in the first story of Sahib we found at the very beginning that when the author asked him, why do you do this? When the author found him scrounging in the garbage dumps, he asked, why do you do this? He spoke in a very low voice, and while speaking he could not look at the author's face, he just looked in a different direction. See the difference with Mukesh. When the author asks him, do you know anything about cars? Since you want to be a motor mechanic, you should know about the different parts of a car, which part performs which function, and the impairment or any defect in which part will lead to what kind of complicacy. These things you should know. Otherwise, how can you repair people's car? So she asked him, do you know anything about cars? He said, I will learn to drive a car. There is a determination. He is speaking in a very clear terms. I want to be a motor mechanic, and to know the functioning of a car and its different parts, I will learn to drive a car. Then I will become a motor mechanic. He is very clear cut about his speech is very clear cut about what he is going to do. And when he says this thing, I will learn to drive a car, he answers looking straight into my eyes. This is where Mukesh is different from Sahib. When Sahib said, I have nothing else to do, he could not look at the author's face. This means he had low confidence. So far as Mukesh is concerned, he is very confident. Looking straight into the author's eyes, he is saying, I will learn to drive a car. His dream looms like a mirage amidst the dust of streets that fill his town, Firozabad. famous for its bangles. We have got a new name now. The earlier story was Sahib's story, and that was set in Simapuri, which is on the outskirts of Delhi. And the second story of Mukesh, it is set in a place called Firozabad. This Firozabad is in Uttar Pradesh. Whether it is Simapuri or Firozabad, in both the places miserable life is there, acute poverty is there, children are working in factories or they are roaming on the street, they have to support their family, they have to help their parents in their livelihood. This is same, but the difference in the attitude and mindset of the major characters. In case of Sahib, he had low confidence, and in case of Mukesh, he is very much confident. So, his dream, Mukesh's dream is to become a motor mechanic. You may say, to become a motor mechanic, is it a big dream? It is not a big dream. Anyone can become. It is not a big job. It is an ordinary job. Everyone knows. But if you look at the condition of life in which these people in Firozabad are living, then you will realize that yes, for such poor people, even becoming a motor mechanic is a big achievement. That is why when Mukesh says that he will learn to drive a car in order to become a motor mechanic, the author said his dream looms like a mirage. Loom means to expand or to appear. It looms like a mirage, M-I-R-A-G-E. Mirage is a very important word. M-I-R-A-G-E. Mirage is a kind of some fake picture. If you are traveling in a desert, you will think that there is water in front of you. But as you go close to that, you will find no water is there. It's just sand. Again, you will see, oh, water is there at a distance. Go to that spot, you will again find there is no water, it's just sand. This fake picture that appears before your eyes of water in place of sand, that is called mirage. In our language, we call it morichika. So, here the word mirage is used to mean something which does not exist, something which is imaginary, something which is not real. What is it? The author refers to Mukesh's dream. His dream is to become a motor mechanic, and becoming a motor mechanic is not a big thing, but so far as their life is concerned, for such poor people, becoming a motor mechanic is something beyond imagination. It is just like a mirage. In the desert, it appears to be water, there is no water actually. That means it is just an imagination, that water, it seems to be water. So, mirage means something imaginary, something beyond reality. So far as Mukesh's dream to become a motor mechanic is concerned, the author said it is just like a mirage. It looms like a mirage amidst the dust of streets that fill his town Firozabad. The town where he lives is Firozabad. It is a dusty town, it is a dirty town, and in such a place, this town is famous for its bangles. Bangle, you know, the ornament that ladies or girls wear around their wrist. Especially it is very significant so far as marriage is concerned. So, this bangle is manufactured, it is made in large numbers in Firozabad, and this is an industrial town and people work there. So, if you look at the kind of life that these people are living in Firozabad, then for such people having a dream to become a motor mechanic is nothing but a mirage, it is nothing but just a dream only, just an imaginary thought. Every other family in Firozabad is engaged in making bangles. It is the center of India's glass blowing industry. Glass blowing industry, what is this thing? Glass blowing industry means an industry where glass is blown. Glass is melted, and the molten glass is then it is transformed into some kind of designs, and then some kind of what is it called? Bangles or any other ornaments are made. So, ornaments or something like this are made from glass, and the industry in which this processing is done, this is called glass blowing industry. So, in all the glass blowing industries that are there in India, Firozabad is the center of all of them. It is from Firozabad that they get supply. This is their headquarters, this is the main center where glass blowing industry has its maximum production. It is the center of India's glass blowing industry, where families have spent generations working around furnaces. How do people live there? How do they work? Here in Firozabad, every family is engaged in this activity in bangle making. They work in the glass blowing industry. And how do they work? Working around furnaces. What is this furnace? Furnace is if you visit a blacksmith's home, blacksmith's workplace, you will find a furnace. It means a firework. There is he has made fire, and fire is essential because he has to melt the iron and he has to design it. He has to use it according to his need. So the firework, that is what the blacksmith has it at his home, that is called furnace. You may have a furnace at your home also during cold weather. For example, you have made some fire. That is the fire that you have made. That is the furnace. Ognikundo. That is furnace. And interestingly, blacksmith we all know. We know goldsmith also. And those people who work in glass blowing industry, they make glass. They make ornaments. They make ornaments out of glass. They are called glassmith. Blacksmith, goldsmith, and you have now got glassmith. So, it is the center of India's glass blowing industry, where families have spent generations working around furnaces, welding glass. They weld means join. They join glass, making bangles for all the women in the land, it seems. If you visit the place and you see every family in Firozabad is engaged in this activity, and the number of people engaged from small to young, small children to elderly people, everybody is engaged in this job. And if you see them working, then you will think that yes, these people seem to have been busy in making bangles for all the women of the country. So high quantity of bangles they make. Mukesh family is among them. Mukesh family is one such family which is engaged in bangle making through generations. Their ancestors were doing the same job, they are doing the same job. None of them know that it is illegal for children like him to work in the glass furnaces with high temperatures. These people are working, but this is not legal. If law is enforced, then this thing will be banned. Action will be taken against those who have engaged these people in this kind of activity. None of them know that it is illegal for children like him to work in the glass furnaces. Yes, children should not be given work because it is child labor. Child labor is illegal. Wherever it may be, it is illegal. None of them know that it is illegal for children like him to work in the glass furnaces with high temperatures in dingy cells. Dingy means dark and drab. Dingy. They work in dingy cells. It means in small compartments, in small houses. They just sit and they work. There is no there is no blowing of air. So, in dingy cells, CELL, cell means a small compartment. Dingy means dark and drab. In a dark, small compartment, small space, they work without air and light. That the law, if enforced, could get him and all those 20,000 children out of the hot furnaces where they slog their daylight hours. They do not know that it is illegal to let such small children work in such situations. Second thing that they do not know is that if law is enforced, then the 20,000 children who are working, see the number. In Simapuri we found 10,000 rag pickers live, and in Firozabad 20,000 children work in glass furnaces. If law is enforced, then these people will be taken out. Law will give them freedom. But we all know that in first year also we got it that in India law is less respected, and we all know it takes much time for getting legal justice. If law is enforced, then these 20,000 children will get out of the hot furnaces where they slog their daylight hours. This slog their daylight hours, it is there at the beginning of the story. There are some phrases given. This one is also there. Slog their daylight hours. Slog means to work hard. That is it. Slog. Work hard. These children, they work hard in small spaces where there is no air, there is no light, they are dark, it is very uncomfortable, often losing the brightness of their eyes. And because of their continuous work since childhood in such unhealthy situation, they often lose the brightness of their eyes. Mukesh's eyes beam as he volunteers to take me home. So, earlier we found that the author visited Simapuri and the home and the muddy structures where where those rag pickers live. Now we have got that even in Firozabad also, from Delhi she has come to Uttar Pradesh, she is visiting Firozabad, and in Firozabad she visits Mukesh's home. Mukesh's eyes beam, B-E-A-M, beam means to light up, beam, it means light up, it means there is happiness visible on his face. When you say something happily, your face shows happiness. The author said Mukesh's eyes beam, Mukesh's eyes show happiness as he volunteers, as he. In my book, the word after as is as the volunteers. No, it should be as he volunteers. The word volunteer is used here as a verb. Volunteer. Volunteer means to do something of your own. Do something of your own. Do something willingly. If you do something willingly, no one asks you to do it. You do it of your own choice. You volunteer. This is a verb. And as a noun also, a volunteer is a person who willingly does a thing. We need volunteers for blood donation camp, for any functions we have volunteers. It means those people who are willing to provide their service. They will not be paid anything, they are not forced, just they come willingly. So these people are called volunteers, and the verb is also volunteer. Mukesh's eyes beam as he volunteers to take me home. Mukesh willingly takes the author to his home, and he is happy taking the author to his home. Why is he happy? They are very poor people, their home is a very miserable condition. Still he is happy because his home, which he proudly says is being rebuilt. He is very happy that his home is being rebuilt. Yes, my home it was very miserable, in a very miserable condition. We are rebuilding it. By rebuilding, you should not think that yes, some huge structure is coming up. No. Compared to what they had earlier, compared to that, they are just having a bit better now. So he is happy that his house is being rebuilt, and he is proud of his this house, and he takes the author home. We walk down stinking lane. Stinking means giving foul smell. Stinking means smelling foul. It means there is very bad smell coming. Stinking lane, L-A-N-E, lane means small passages, small roads, not big roads. Lane, gully. So as Mukesh takes the author to his home, they pass lanes, and these lanes are stinking. There are foul smells coming from here and there. Choked with garbage. Choke means you cannot take your breath. It is difficult to take your breath because of the garbage and the smell, bad smell coming from that garbage. This is the situation. Past homes that remain hovels. H-O-V-E-L. Hovel means structures or homes that are not fit for living. There are homes, the author goes along with Sahib, with Mukesh, and the homes that they pass, the structures that they pass, these are just hovels, they are not fit for living. With crumbling walls, their walls, the bricks from their walls are falling. They have fallen, or they are about to fall. Crumbling walls, wobbly doors, W-O-B-B-L-Y, W-O-B-B-L-Y, wobbly means not stable. Doors are loose. Lorkhora. In Sylheti we call it Lorkhora. Lorkhora doors are there. Wobbly doors. No windows. Crowded with families of humans and animals coexisting in a primeval state. Primeval, P-R-I-M-E-V-A-L. P-R-I-M-E-V-A-L. Primeval means in a very prehistoric, in a very ancient style. There is no modern facilities. Their life is devoid of any kind of happiness, any kind of facilities. So when the author goes to Mukesh's home along with Mukesh, she passes all these things, and she said that the houses that she passes, she finds that human beings and animals living inside the same structure, the same house, and this way of life is a primeval state. It is just an ancient way of living. It is uncivilized life. He stops at the door of one such house. Yes, all those miserable houses, they are just hovels, they are unfit for living, then foul smell coming. In front of such a house, Mukesh stops, bangs a wobbly iron door, B-A-N-G, bang, the word bang is used here as a verb, bang, but it is also used as a noun. Bang is a kind of tool that is used on your door to close your door and to open it. That is called bang. And here the word bang, it is used as a verb. It means he opens, he kicks, and he kicks with his foot on the door, and the door opens and pushes it open. We enter a half-built shack. SHSCK. Shack means a house which is half-built. It is very improper. It is not at all proper. It is not at all suitable for living. It is a half-built house. We enter a half-built shack, a poor house which is half-built. In one part of it, thatched with dead grass. Mukesh's house it is. Mukesh has taken the author to his home. It is a half-built shack. In one part of this house, thatched with dead grass. With the help of dead grass, they have made a house. They have given walls, they have given boundaries, and there is a firewood stove over which sits a large vessel of sizzling spinach leaves. As the author enters Mukesh's house, she finds that it is a house made of dead grass, and inside the house, in one corner, there is a firewood stove, a stove which where firewood is used. With the help of firewood, cooking is cooking is done, and which sits a large vessel of sizzling spinach leaves. Sizzling means boiling. Spinach is a kind of plant which has leaves that is used for food as a vegetable. So yes, this spinach leaves were boiling in one large vessel on a firewood stove in one corner of this house which belongs to Mukesh. On the ground in large aluminum platters. Platters means large plates. On the ground in large aluminum platters are more chopped vegetables. Chopped. CHOP. Chop means to cut into pieces. Chopped vegetable means more vegetables which are chopped, which are cut into pieces. These are also there in the ground. A frail young woman is cooking the evening meal for the whole family. Frail means weak. Frail. Frail means weak. It's an adjective and its noun is frailty, weakness. A frail young woman is cooking the evening meal for the whole family. Through eyes filled with smoke, she smiles. This sentence is very beautiful. An example of alliteration, repetition of sound is there. Through eyes filled with smoke, she smiles. The author has gone. Mukesh has taken one guest to their home. They are very poor people, but still the woman who was cooking food for the family, she knows it very well that I have to show a welcoming face to her. That is why she is smiling. But how can she smile? She was working on a firewood stove and smoke is disturbing her. She cannot open her eyes properly. So through eyes filled with smoke, her eyes are filled with smoke, and with that smoke filled eyes, she is trying to show a smiling face. She is the wife of Mukesh's elder brother. Not much older in years, she has begun to command respect as the Bahu, the daughter-in-law of the house, already in charge of 3 men. Her husband, Mukesh, and their father. This woman is Mukesh's elder brother's wife, Mukesh's Bhabhi, and this woman is not much older in age, and yet she has got some command, some respect, some dignity, some identity in this poor house as a Bahu. She is the Bahu in the house, and she is in charge of 3 men. How can she be in charge of 3 men? She is the person responsible for feeding them, for preparing their food, etc. Who are the people whose charge is on her? She is in charge of her husband, and she is in charge of her father-in-law, and she is in charge of her brother-in-law, Mukesh. When the older man enters, she gently withdraws behind the broken wall and brings her veil closer to her face. See the custom, the culture of India. When the older man enters, it means when her father-in-law enters, this woman, she withdraws, it means she hides herself, she leaves the place, she goes behind the broken wall and brings her veil closer to her face. Veil, parda, that part of her sari, she has taken it close to her face because she is showing respect to her father-in-law. In the same family, father-in-law and daughter-in-law, this was the ancient Indian culture. This woman is showing respect to her father-in-law, although they belong to the same family. Although their condition is very poor, still they are following their culture. As custom demands, daughters-in-law must veil their faces before male elders. This is the custom. Daughters-in-law, Bahu should veil her face, should cover her face before her father-in-law. That is the custom, and they are following it. Before male elders, whether it is father-in-law or elder brother-in-law, whatever. In this case, the elder is an impoverished bengal maker. Impoverished. Impoverished means poor. So who is this elder before whom she is maintaining her veil? That older is her father-in-law, is a poor bangle maker. He has failed to, in this case the elder is an impoverished bangle maker despite long years of hard labor. This word despite, take a look into it. Despite may also be used as in spite of. If you write in spite, then you have to use of, in spite of. If you use despite, then you are not to use of. In spite of or despite. See, despite long years of hard labor, first as a tailor, then a bangle maker, he has failed to renovate a house. This man, through his whole age, he has done hard labor. Firstly, he was a tailor, then he became a bangle maker, but he has failed to renovate a house. Renovate means to repair. Renovate means to repair and to improve. Old house is repaired and given a better look. That is called renovation. So, this man has failed to renovate. Far from constructing a new house, even the old one he could not renovate in spite of his hard labor throughout his whole life. First as a tailor, then as a bangle maker. He could not even send his two sons to school. All he has managed to do is teach them what he knows. He could not renovate his house. He could not even send his sons to school for education. The only thing he has done is the thing that he knows. What is it? The art of making bangles. This is what he has taught his sons. It is his karam, his destiny, says Mukesh's grandmother, and these people are happy with this. At the very beginning, before we started the story, we found that the author is saying that it is the custom, the tradition and poverty. These two things make people's lives miserable in Firozabad and Simhapuri. It is not only their poverty, see their belief, their tradition. This woman, Mukesh's grandmother, she is happy with their poverty, with their miserable life. She says it is his karam, his destiny. Her son, Mukesh's father, he could not renovate his house. He could not send his two sons to school for education in spite of his hard labor throughout his whole life. Still the elderly woman is happy with this because she says it is his karam, his destiny, this is his naseeb, this is his taqdeer, so he cannot change it. Who has watched her own husband go blind with the dust from polishing the glass of bangles. This woman who is saying it is his destiny, it is his luck, it is written in his luck. This woman has seen her own husband go blind because of continuous work in glass blowing industry, because of dust entering his eyes. This man became blind. And this man's wife is still happy with this because this is their traditional belief that this is our way of life. We cannot we cannot think of changing it. She is saying, can a God-given lineage ever be broken? Lineage, L-I-N-E-A-G. Lineage means a traditional thing, the tradition, the silsila. She says that God has chosen this bangle making for us. So we are born in this in this line. If God wanted us to do something else, He would have given us birth to some other family. This is God's choice. He has made us bangle makers. He wants us to remain bangle makers. That is why it is a God-given lineage. She is asking, can a God-given lineage ever be broken? She implies, born in the caste of bangle makers, they have seen nothing but bangles in the house, in the yard, in every other house, every other yard, every street in Firozabad. So they are born in the family of bangle makers, and throughout all his life they have seen nothing but bangles everywhere, in the yard, in the house, everywhere, bangles and bangles and bangles only. Spirals of bangles, spiral means coils, long bangles made into spiral, made into coil. Spirals of bangles, sunny gold, paddy green, royal blue, pink, purple, every color born out of the 7 colors of the rainbow, lie in mounds in unkempt yards. Bangles are made of different colors, all the colors that are there in rainbow. Bangles of all colors are made in Firozabad, and the heap of bangles, all the huge collection of bangles lie in mounds. M-O-U-N-D, mound means piles. M-O-U-N-D, mound means piles. This piles is not the disease called piles, no. These mounds, huge numbers kept together, mounds in unkempt yards. Unkempt means in a dilapidated condition. Unkempt yard means open space in front of your house. Unkempt means very miserable yard, a very poorly maintained yard, are piled on four-wheeled handcarts. Four-wheeled handcarts come, and on them these things are loaded, pushed by young men along the narrow lanes of the shanty town. Shanty means a poor town. So huge quantity of the bangles are made, then they are of different colors. All these are then loaded in four-wheel carts, and then young boys, young men, they push these four-wheel car through the shanty town. Shanty town means this poor town. And in dark hartments, hartments means small hearts. In dark hartments, next to lines of flames of flickering oil lamps. How do they make it? How do they produce it? They produce, we earlier got in small cells. There is no light, there is no air. In dark hartments, next to lines of flames of flickering oil lamps. Again, use of alliteration. Lines of flames of flickering oil lamps. A line of lamps. Lamps, kerosene lamp. Oil lamp means kerosene lamps. And the light is flickering. Light is not bright. Very poor light these lamps provide. And there is a line of such lamps. And in front of all the lamps, line of people are there, children, young, all. Sit boys and girls with their fathers and mothers, welding pieces of colored bangles, glass into circles of bangles. How do they make it? Long lines of kerosene lamps, which give very poor light, and in front of all these lamps, there is a line of human beings. Who are they? Boys, girls, father, mother, everybody in the same line. They are just joining pieces of bangles to make, pieces of glass to make bangles. That is the way how they make it. Their eyes are more adjusted to the dark than to the light outside. They become so adjusted, their eyes, because of their long years of work in such unhealthy condition, their eyes become more adjusted, more fit. They become more adjusted with darkness. Darkness is something with which their eyes become more adjusted, and as a result, when they go out in the light, they find discomfort. Their eyes are more adjusted to the dark than to the light outside. That is why they often end up losing their eyesight before they become adults. That is how. Even in their young age, they become blind because they cannot adjust in light. Their eyes have become more adjustable with the darkness because of their long years of rigorous work. They slog their daylight hours. When the whole world is enjoying daylight, these people are compelled to work in small compartments inside the house, and there is no light, no air, nothing. In such unhealthy and unhygienic condition they work, and that is how they support their family. That is the miserable life, and Mukesh belongs to such a family, and this Mukesh now wants to become a motor mechanic. That is of course the author said it is something just like a mirage. It is something, an imaginary dream, imagination for him. We will see more things about life in Firozabad, how miserable life these people are living in the next video. That will be the last video. Thank you very much for being with me.